Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of March 2025. I hope you're well. I'm using the Llewellyn Tarot for you today. Now, before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, you can do so via a link to the extended, which you can access at the end. It's down in the description box below. One link will take you to Circle. You can join up and you can join the classes and you can watch all of the extended content. The other one will take you to Selfie. We're moving away from Vimeo because of their egregious practices. Although they have walked those back. I think enough people kicked off about it, but trust has been broken. So we had a few teething problems with Selfie last month, but all of them I was able to resolve, which I couldn't do when I was using Vimeo before. So it sort of made a little bit more work for me, but actually everything was resolvable, which was great. So we're going to stick with them for another month, see how it goes. To that end, I'd appreciate any feedback that you might have. I actually have a meeting later this week with a Selfie person to give some feedback. So it'll all go into that. Yes, the other thing is that we're pulling somewhere here. I'm going to pull an oracle card this month. I just feel like the circumstances warrant it. I'm using this Liminal Forest here, which is by MJ Cullinane. It's an absolutely incredible oracle deck, and everything that it's been bringing up has been very much on point. So, without too much ado, I think I've told you everything that I wanted to tell you. I think that we have. So let's give this a 5, 4, 3, 2, and just for the sake of doing it properly, let's do that. I'm going to cut the deck here. This is your oracle card. We shall look at it at the end. I shall put the other ones out of the way. There's something that reminds me of the Ghibli film Spirited Away about the back of this. I don't know why. I think it's because this looks like No Face. But anywho, Scorpio, let's see what's going on with you. Could I have 3 cards for Scorpio, please? Oh, and I do need to tell you about the meditation as well. So we have the first card. It is a reversed 3 of Swords. We like that very much. Much better than the upright 3 of Swords. Current energy for Scorpio. 3 cards. 5 of Swords, 7 of Cups, Queen of Wands, and what's coming towards Scorpio, please, for March. Interesting, Knight of Wands. We've got the 7 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here. I think this is indicating something that I've been kind of feeling since I started trying to connect to your energy, which is there's a struggle going on here for you, Scorpio, but it feels, I don't know, it could feel at this point like it's sort of endless, but it's not endless. There is an end in sight and it's coming and it's very, very close. The 7 of Pentacles is a situation that we find ourselves in that in some way is not giving us what we thought it would at the point where we started investing in it, right? It's that kind of that point of reflection where we look at what we've built and we say, is this really in alignment with where we want to go, right? Maybe it's costing me too much to maintain this. Maybe it's not going to give me the return that I thought it was. Either way, it's this pause. It's this moment of reflection. Now, as I'm getting the clarifiers out, I want to just tell you what I saw when I did the meditation for your sign. And I want you to cast your mind back to when you were a child. I'm assuming you find these all over the place, right? You know, the roundabouts. Back in the 80s, if you grew up when I did, those things didn't have limiters on them at all, and they literally would go as fast as anybody could spin them. And I've seen all sorts of videos of people using motorbike back wheels to spin them around and whatnot. But now they go really slowly. I felt like I was sat on one of those. You know how you would just sit and you just spin and the world would go round, and then eventually you'd end up feeling a little bit giddy and a little bit sick. But the difference was, and this was very, very clear, the roundabout itself was not moving at all in my meditation. In fact, what was happening was the world itself was turning around as we were sat on the wheel. There was no dizziness. There was just an observation. Is it me moving or is it the world? It's actually the world. And what I thought was really interesting about that is that when the Wheel of Fortune comes out, we do a lot of talking about what the Wheel of Fortune might be about and what it might not be about, and how it's, you know, resonant in any particular given reading. But one thing that holds true for me no matter what is that the place where we really want to find ourselves is right in the centre of the wheel, right? Life goes up, life goes down. It's full of these undulations and vacillations. But if we can remain as far as possible in the centre of the wheel, it felt like it was an expression of that energy, right? And watching the whole world turn around you, and you having found this place of stasis in the middle. But it's not entirely static, because there's this struggle going on where you seem to be trying to climb out of your body because your skin no longer fits. And it's uncomfortable. It feels really, really uncomfortable. But nevertheless, it feels like a shedding of a skin, the like of which you haven't experienced before, Scorpio. And that's really fucking saying something. Right, you are literally the sign of shedding the skin, circling the drain, going down the drain, coming back up again, reborn. This feels different. It feels really, really different. And although you've got no major arcana on the table here, I wonder if that's why it's more powerful. Because this is not the universe doing what it would usually do. Let's be honest, Scorpio, going, right, oh, you're comfortable, you're complacent. Here's a situation that kicks the shit out of you. This feels internally generated, and it feels like you are, whether you are aware of it or not, you are the instigator of this. It feels like the most spectacular levelling up for Scorpio, that is entirely self-directed, but subconsciously self-directed. Because whatever situations you find yourself in at the moment that are no longer in alignment with you, whether it's environmental, whether it's people, whether it's simply the way that you as a Scorpio exist, it's up for change, it's up for renewal, it's up for some sort of adjustment. What do we have underneath there? Knight of Cups. There's Pisces energy, and there's a lot of activity in Pisces at the moment. Well, maybe not read too much into that. Let's get some clarifiers out, because I said I would, and then I didn't. Tell me about the Three of Swords. In reverse, why is this here for Scorpio? Ace of Cups. Billion dogs. Sorry, I actually have 6 dogs now. It was an accident. They're all awesome. What do we also have? King of Pentacles, 7 of Swords. Very interesting. Tell me about these 3 cards here. The Hermit, for sure. Seven of Pentacles again. Four of Pentacles. This is it. This is really interesting. This is really interesting, Scorpio. Tell me about the Knight of Wands. So I'll tell you what I'm seeing in a second. I'm not going to take all of those. That's 4 cards there. I'm not even going to look at them. I'm just going to shuffle them back in. Tell me about the Knight of Wands. Okay. Yeah. Aha. Yeah. I mean, this is absolutely massive, Scorpio. Now, it's really interesting. There seemed to be a line, all right, where the early signs that I read for. By the way, I'm really sorry that this reading is late, but like I spent most of the last week battling off a migraine, and not doing it terribly successfully, and still needing to do stuff. I just couldn't do these readings. I'm really sorry. It is what it is. Nevertheless, come back to where I was. Where was I? Completely lost it. I'm going to have to pause the video a second while I try and work out what the fuck I was talking about. I remembered. It took me a full 27 seconds of sitting here, but I did remember. I noticed this pattern. The readings that I did right at the beginning of the month seemed to be a bit rough, bit intense, didn't like it very much on behalf of the people that I was reading for. And as the readings have gone through the full 12, the closer we were getting to the end, the more they seemed actually ridiculously fucking positive. And I would put you... brace yourself, Scorpio. I would put your reading into the ridiculously fucking positive, and I shall tell you for why. You are ready for change. Now, there are many periods in your life that you could probably point to whereby you have been ready for change. But that change has often been expressed in some sort of change outside of you. So we're talking about, moving away from people who are problematic, finding yourself some new people who are less problematic, right? Changing jobs, changing house, moving area, right? All of these kind of like sifting and sorting through the external stuff and going, well, maybe it'll all settle down now, right? Now I've moved to the other end of the country, or maybe I've done this, or I've done that, or I've done the other, right? I've moved away from a job that was full of toxic people, moved away from an industry that is full of toxic people. And somehow, some way, without knowing how it happens, you end up coming up full circle on yourself. And it's like, it doesn't matter where I go or what I do, shit just finds me. It's almost like drama finds you. This is what's changing, Scorpio, because I don't think anything that you are grappling with right now is new. I don't think this is new information to you, but it's the difference between intellectually appreciating something and truly feeling it in your fucking soul, right? So what you have always intellectually appreciated, or perhaps, latterly intellectually appreciated, versus what you now feel in your soul, is you simply cannot tolerate being in the skin that you are in for much longer, right? Which is to say, in some sort of like weird poetic way that I'm trying to say it, like you're choosing to change yourself fully without mitigation. When I said you were ready to slough off your skin in the most tremendous way, quite unlike anything you've ever done before, I fucking meant it. And that was before I got the clarifiers out on the table, right? So the biggest struggles that we ever experience are always within ourselves, right? We can we can lock horns with people, we can lock horns with institutions and all that kind of thing, and it's never as powerful as when we actually dominate something inside of us that has been steering us for the longest time. So I already said I felt like, you recognize that there was something amiss here. There was something uncomfortable about the environment that you're in, and that you were ready for a change. But rather than looking to change house, change job, change industry, change partner, change whatever, it's like, no, you really are submitting to the fucking flame, actually. And we can see it all laid out here. Now, in the first instance, what we have is the Three of Swords, and the Three of Swords represents pain. It represents heartbreak. More importantly, I think it represents the addition of information to your emotional place that changes the landscape. So for children, it's quite often the realization that well, not the realization, it's the experience of childhood trauma, right? Or those people who are supposed to protect you doing anything but. And it can happen in all sorts of ways too. Not, it's not just childhood trauma, relationship breakups, all sorts of things. And what I think is quite interesting about the Llewellyn Tarot is that this one really gives us the impression that this is an aged pain that we are wrestling with. I like the fact that she sat here, and it's like she's willingly sat down by the swords. She can at any point pick herself up and move away from them, but she doesn't realize that she has that power yet, right? And so she sits there and she sits there, and this idea that many years have passed, that she has been sat here by these swords, is very, very strong in this somewhat sepia toned card. Now, the Three of Swords reversal for me is an understanding that gravity pulling out the swords is what allows the emotional stuff to heal. You cannot heal around steel. And I think too many of us try to jump to that, right? It's like I've had people before who say, oh, I should just be forgiving this person for that. And it's like, you can't leap to forgiveness in things, right? The healing process is not just waking up and feeling better and forgiving everybody in the world. There are layers to it. There are gradations to it. And Scorpio, back in 2020, I remember expressing this. I said, I have no fucking idea what Scorpio is doing right now. You seem to me to be pinging like a pinball from pillar to post and all over the shop, looking anywhere other than in you for the answers. And I said, I don't know what Scorpio is up to right now. This is on a live stream. I said, but I have this funny feeling that they're going to end up overtaking us and, charging ahead, getting out in front in some way or another. And sure enough, within about 6 months of me saying that, something changed for Scorpio. And you stopped resisting looking inside. And you started actively doing it. Now, there was a lot that has needed to be healed within you. And I think it would be outrageous to suggest that it is all done yet. Because, the kind of trauma that Scorpios generally are dealing with has been built up over a very long fucking period of time and tends to run extremely fucking deep. It's very difficult to let go of it, particularly if in some way or another, in a relatively abstract way, it's been a defining part of your experience, such that it becomes a defining part of your identity. We've got the Ace of Cups on its side that is also kind of giving some credibility to that, but I feel like this Ace of Cups is very much on the upward turn, Scorpio, in that you're getting very close to cracking what it feels like to be that self-generating well of something. It comes with personal responsibility. There's no way of getting around it. It comes from the realization that blaming other people does nothing to save our situation, right? So if you're in a traumatized state, if you have experienced childhood trauma, it's very, very easy to just simply blame everything that is wrong with you now on the upbringing that you had. And to an extent, to a degree, certainly it's given you what you have to work with. But at the point where you become an adult, then it falls to you to do something about it. It's not your fault that it happened, but it's certainly your responsibility to do something about it. And I think that simple fact is something that is so difficult for us to grasp in our traumatized state for such a long time that it takes us until we're in our mid-30s, mid-40s, mid-50s to even start that work of grappling with it. But you have. I said, whether it was the arse end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021, something for Scorpio changed and Scorpio started to look inside. And there was something really, really powerful that happened there. Because I think you can think about what's going on now, certainly what's been going on in your recent past, as somewhat of an initiation. Somewhat of an initiation. Just ignore me. I'm going to look for something while I'm talking to you. And the initiation is to a new path whereby we realize we do not want to live the way that we have lived anymore. And we're not going to look for change in any other place than within. We are not going to seek any change to anything other than change within. Like I said, I feel like you've intellectually known this for the longest time, Scorpio, but now you don't just get it, you're living it, you're breathing it, you're feeling it in every single aspect of your fucking soul. And change is incoming as a result, monumental change. Like, we can see this contemplation of the future and what you want it to actually hold, how you want it to actually support you, represented by the King of Pentacles, your opposite sign on the zodiac, by the way. And that Seven of Swords being the thing that seemingly you have wanted to resist, being the route through. You see how this fox is kind of side-eyeing it here. The Seven of Swords is a card that talks about deception of some sort, right? And we can quite often attribute that to other people, and how funny that it should have ended up here, when what we're realizing is the ways in which we have deceived ourselves. I've talked at great length at times over the last few years about different aspects of a phoenix moment that we can experience. But do you know, one of the weirdest things that I came across was this information that apparently the universe turns off and on like 22 million times a second. They've done the math, they've proven that it happens. And if you truly create your own reality, which I do believe that we do, then that suggests to me that 22 million times a second, you have the capacity to completely change your life. Now, whether it's a fact like that or whether it's something else that seems to have, or even just getting to the end of your tether with feeling the way that you do, you're ready to start really taking this rebirth energy into you and feeling it really strongly. Now, when I'm talking about the Wheel of Fortune, here's you sitting in the middle of it, witnessing the world spinning around you, right? Neither overly invested in the ups and neither spiraling with despair about the downs, right? It simply is destiny turning, as it says here. Neither up nor down, it simply is. I pulled this card for myself the other day, and it says at the bottom, I don't know if you can see it, passage to initiation. And it's interesting because it aligns with the way that I see the Death card, which is not about endings. By the way, the Death card is the card of Scorpio in the major arcana, or one of them at least. It's not about endings. Neither is it really about beginnings. It's about the blended version of the two, where one gives birth to the other. Death literally giving birth to life in a way that we don't really think about too often. This initiation is incoming for you, Scorpio, and you are self-initiating. This is why it's important. There's no universe kicking you over and over again saying, you got to change something, you got to change something. You're like, no, it's me now. And what's required from you is this. It's getting good with being in this state of the Five of Swords and the Seven of Cups together. Not the only sign that's had that Seven of Cups show up, which is quite interesting. The Five of Swords is instability. Because it's numbered 5, it's always about the instability of something or another. Because it's swords, we're talking about the workings of the mind. We're talking about information. We're talking about, logic, reason, rationality. We're talking quite simply about the way that you think, the way that you speak, and the way that you hear stuff coming back to you, because that's a really vital part of communication too. This talks about breakdown sometimes in communication, but for me, it feels more like the Pyrrhic victory. It feels more like self-sabotage. It feels like the desperation of just trying to hold on when you could in fact just choose to completely regenerate yourself. The Seven of Cups being that kind of illusion about illusory state of what we actually feel about something, and what we feel is going to be the next right move forwards, or how do we avoid incurring something. Now, I've said to Scorpio, I've noticed a number of times with Scorpios that I have known, that the one thing that they crave is the one thing that they will not allow themselves, and that is intimacy. They really, really struggle with that. And there are many, many reasons why. But despite seemingly, at least the modern archetype of the sign of Scorpio being almost synonymous with traumatized internal space, that's not what it is supposed to be. I just feel like in modern times, this is the kind of path, these are the sort of lessons that Scorpio are being given in order to work through and reach that higher state. Scorpio being the only sign that has 3 different incarnations of itself, right? We start with the Scorpion, we go to the Eagle, and then we move up to the Phoenix. You're the only sign who can change themselves this much. So what it needs is for you to be able to objectively assess all of this and then make a decision about how you're going to move forwards, right? How you are going to submit to the fire, purify yourself, and emerge renewed. We've got the Hermit and the Seven of Pentacles, and here's the beauty of the situation, Scorpio. It never was about anything outside of you. It never was about the people who were around you, or the environment that you were in, or the industry that you worked in, or the job that you had. It's like everything was reflecting you back to you. And I feel like what you have hit upon Scorpio, not just intellectually, but actually, is the realization that everything that is outside of you is a reflection of what is within. The Hermit's involved in that internal journey. He's gone looking and he's found pentacles. He's found 7 pentacles, which are, you're sick of wielding. Like, you just do not want to experience life like that anymore. And further than that, we have the 4 of Pentacles. It's this realization that you've been stuck for the longest time. And the question is why? Now, you could recite a number of facts about, early life experience or even midlife experience that would be sufficient for most people to go, oh, okay, that's why you are the way that you are. But I feel like, Scorpio, you are operating at a higher level than you almost give yourself credit for. And there's something about the malleability and plasticity of an experience that is open to you that is starting to trickle into your awareness. It's like you're fixed, but you're not. You're here, but you're not. It's like you can be everything and nothing at the same time. And with this knowledge, although you feel to me like you're struggling a little bit at the moment, it feels like it's all pointing to a position that you're going to take at some point in the month where you go, I do not consent to feel like this anymore. I am going to reinvent myself. I'm going to rejuvenate myself. I'm going to rebirth myself, quite literally. Shed the skin. Not quite literally. Don't walk around taking your skin off, Scorpio. That's a level of vulnerability and whatnot I don't think the world is ready for yet. It's like you got it. You finally got it. You've arrived there. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You're not any of these things, and you will not. It's like you've withdrawn your consent to experience the future by way of reference to the past. It almost feels like a cosmic explosion, but it's all internal. Because when we get into March, what we've got is the Knight of Wands. And I say when we get into March proper, I know we're a little way through it now, but trust me, the twists and turns of this month are by no means done yet. I feel like this is a month that's going to feel like it's been the month for quite a long time, to be honest. We have the Knight of Wands indicating go. We have the Knight of Wands indicating that the time is now. It is time to be present. And what you've realised is you cannot be present while you are carrying around the concrete boots of the past. Like, you've been waiting for a sign. You've been waiting for something, because, it's like Einstein said, there's no problem that can be solved by the level of consciousness that created it. And I've talked at length, I don't know if I talked to you, but certainly some signs about how difficult it is to understand how we ourselves will change when we go through some sort of, when we go through our big work, when we go through long dark nights of the soul, even when we're presented with situations that are quite clearly requesting some sort of change. We don't know it, because the best that we can manage is that we project the consciousness that we have now into some sort of future situation. And really, that's what humans do all the time. This is a little bit like something I experienced before. This is what I can expect from what comes next. We're quite literally projecting past experiences, past levels of consciousness into the future. And we are delineating the kind of future that we can have by way of reference to that. This ends here, Scorpio. This is not carrying on anymore, because you can't be present while you're doing that. Which means that something is changing. This is a card of movement. Big movement. And it's backed up by the energy of Judgment and the energy of the King of Wands, which is a step on from the Knight. The Knight is a little chaotic. The Knight likes to move around for the sake of moving around. We don't see that same quality in the King of Wands. We have patience with the King. We have a state of understanding when is the best time to strike with the King of Wands. And this comes through wisdom and experience. And I think the difference between what you think you're experiencing and what is actually going on is really rather strong. Again, we've seen the Ace of Pentacles showing up over here, where we see that there is some way or another in which your attention is being focused on something very, very new, so novel that you have not experienced it before, or you have not tried to bring it and ground it into material reality before. And then we have the Judgment card. The card of rebirth. The card of rising and transcending past difficult experiences and choosing to engage with something on an entirely different basis. This is where you are, Scorpio. Excuse me a moment, I'll be right back. Hi, Scorpio. Right, I'm back. I think we need another deck of cards out here. Where's my... there it is. Couldn't find it for a second there. Right. Now, within the Judgment card, there is not only, you know, everything that we've talked about in terms of rebirth and rejuvenation. Rejuvenation's lame for what I mean. I mean, it's a complete wholesale transformation. It's a complete overhaul of your experience. But we also have the idea that your judgment itself is the thing that is important. Now, was this not, I think it is, the only major arcana card that is on the table right now. And it is one that speaks to a life-changing decision made by you. And this is not the kind of life-changing decision of, I'm going to move from Washington State to, I don't know, New York, or, you know, Scotland to London or something like that. I mean, what we've got here is a truly elevating out of a previous level of consciousness and heading into another. And it's this willing giving of yourself to the flame, almost, Scorpio, that I'm talking about here, which feels chaotic, feels potentially rather restrictive, actually, right? Because the Knight of Wands suggests that maybe what is going on here is you are thinking that it's more about freeing yourself from something, right? Liberating yourself from this rather suffocating feeling that you have. In reality, there's an order of magnitude, there's something an order of magnitude bigger actually happening here with you, as per Father of Wands over the Knight. Tell me about the Judgment card, please. Whoa, that one spun out. We have the Three of Swords. We have the Emperor reversed. Five of Swords and Seven of Swords. There's that same combination, Scorpio. This is really interesting. I mean, this gives a lot of credibility to the idea that whatever this is over here, and so this is, you know, the past wounding, the past pain that you yourself are healing through right now. But then additionally, Five of Swords and Seven of Swords is we have pain, the idea of pain, the information that was contained within the pain as you experienced it, that somehow got mistranslated somewhere along the line and led you to a place where, forgive me, but here, maybe you felt like you needed to control everything, right? But the way that that control has manifested has been through changing the environment, changing the job, changing the, you know, the relationship, perhaps. With this Emperor card showing up in reverse, what we have is a true relinquishing of control. And it's like there's an understanding here of how we got from here to here to here, and then how you are feeling right now. But how moving from there to there to there in the past had you going around in circles with yourself. Like, be under no illusion, like everything is fucking changing here, Scorpio. And it's changing bigger. Here's the thing. We've got Four of Pentacles. We've got the Two of Cups. I'm not really thinking about much in the, well, she says that, maybe I do. I was going to say I'm not really thinking so much in the way of new relationships, more like a strengthening of the bonds of the old. But certainly relationships seem to be undergoing some sort of renewal too, because you feel to me like you're being liberated from a particular karmic path that you have been on for the longest time. It's like you have shown yourself to be worthy, Scorpio. You know, I'm always talking about this trifecta of cards: the Judgment card, the Justice card, and the Wheel of Fortune. And when any of those show up in a combination of two or more, we're dealing with a really big situation that has karmic implications, right? These are big energies. We've already spoken about the Wheel of Fortune, right? I saw that. I felt you being in the middle of the Wheel of Fortune. I said it was like a child playground or whatever. But recognizing that you yourself are not the thing that is spinning, it is in fact the world that is spinning around you. There was the first card. Then we had the Judgment card. Then we got the Justice card. This is all three. You don't get all three when everything's just going to plod along the way that it always has. And like I said, whatever you are mistaking for a slightly chaotic, just a need to be free from something, is actually something much, much bigger that is happening for you this month. You feel like you're starting again, Scorpio, but from a place of wisdom and not having to carry around so much of the weight that you have done for the long. Your feet are lightening. Everything's getting lightning. Everything's lightening up, rather. What do we have here? Intuition. Now, there's an interesting thing. It goes without saying that Scorpios are intuitive. And the funny thing is, even with the way that mist is, it actually looks like water there. It looks like the... you see how this bat is almost flying above a body of water. I'm still actually not convinced that isn't what it is supposed to be. But then we've got a hair underneath what is essentially the water down there. I don't even know if you can see it. It's very, very dark. Hair's for me at least, totems of spiritual advancement. They talk about fertility and abundance and all those kind of Easter-like things, right? Bunnies and hares and all that sort of stuff. And obviously they breed a lot. But they move very fast. Things are picking up a pace. And it's not linear. You ever watched a hare run across a field? It doesn't run in a straight line. It's backwards and forwards, and it can spin on a sixpence. I mean, whatever's been weighing you down, Scorpio, it's about to be released. And there's a level of movement that is making itself available to you now that you have never experienced before. This is absolutely... I'll even look at this. Look at the imagery across these two cards. Now, you saw me pick this. I haven't looked at this. You're getting very much my first impressions of it. We have bats. We have these white moths here. It's not a dove, but it's a white moth. We've got that same sense of polarity. We've got that same sense of moving from one space to another, right? And then we've got this dark hair underneath here. And across all of it, there's the sense that it feels to me that Scorpio kind of feels like they're struggling. And it makes me wonder if this same feeling that you're having right now was experienced by other people, or even you from like 10 years ago. You would experience it as something significantly more oppressive than struggle. It's almost like you don't understand your own power, Scorpio. And I wouldn't say it's that you're doing yourself down, it's just that You don't recognize how strong you are, and you don't recognize how close to the light you are. But Ace of Wands and Ace of Pentacles with the Justice card and the Judgment card and the King of Wands, like, oh, everything's about to change. And it's because it's coming from the inside out. This is absolutely astonishing. I'm going to go to the extended now because, like, I can't not. This is too interesting. This is a massive month for you, Scorpio. Really huge. You are the last sign that I've read for. And on point to the, the way that I saw the readings going from beginning to end, like, you've absolutely... Yeah, you're about to knock it out of the park, my dudes. Big time. What that means will be different for each of you. But the experience of being you is about to change on quite an epic level. And at the very least, you can expect is enhanced intuition, but I think there's probably a lot more coming than just that. Alright, I'm going to leave it there. If you would like to come and join me for the extended, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Self-Fight, or you can do that on Circle. I'd be delighted to see you in either place. And I'm probably going to be standing back and just sort of watching what goes down here, because this is really big. Alright, I'm going to go, because otherwise I'm just going to sit here and keep saying this is really, really big, right? So know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.